think we could start if we have everybody. Or
You all set?
2 o'clock.
we are. We're not waiting for anybody else, right? Got everybody?
Okay, the meeting will please come to order. This is a duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Zoning Board of Appeals. In our capacity, we hear petitions for relief from the strict provisions of our city ordinance. In matters of this type, the decision of this board is final. In respect, it does not go to the mayor or city council for any further action. If you disagree with our decision, you do have recourse in a court of record. We also hear petitions for variations of land use. In matters of this type, we act as an advisory committee to the mayor and city council, making a recommendation either for or against it. The final decision on land use is made by the mayor and the city council. The secretary polls the board, please.
Mr. Bias?
Here.
Mr. Alessio? Mr. McShane?
Here.
Mr. Noctree?
Here.
Mr. Riggs?
Here.
Ms. Rohr? Mr. Hennessy?
Here.
First order of business would be approval of minutes from the October meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have motion and second to approve, poll the board.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctree?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Bias?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Abstain.
Next would be citizens to be heard on agenda items. This section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding items listed on the agenda. Here, we do allow you to speak when the case is called, but if anybody would like to speak on an agenda item now, they can do so at this time. Seeing none, we could move on to old business public hearing. First case is petition number 2023-63. The applicant owner is Alejandra and Abraham Garcia. Location is 1101 North Broadway Street. Requested a special use permit. Under purpose, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow a used car dealership at 1101 North Broadway Street. This agenda item was tabled at the October 2023 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting because no one appeared to represent this request. City Council makes the final decision on this request upon recommendation by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Under site-specific information, the property is located at the northwest corner of Hutchins Street and Broadway Street and is approximately 8,500 square feet in size. Property currently has 2 buildings, 24 by 12 office building and 24 by 23 garage building. Property functioned as an automobile filling station from the early 1900s up until the early 1980s. The 1930 street directory notes that the Northern Indiana Petroleum Company service station operated here. In 1950, the property was Quigg's Super Service Station. The office building likely dates to the property's earlier years as an automobile filling station. According to the 1939 zoning map and subsequent additions, property has always been zoned for residential use and is currently zoned R2 single-family residential, although the property has never been used for residential purposes. Martin Sim Tire Service acquired the property in the early 1980s. In 1983, the city of Joliet granted the property a variation of use to allow a B3 use at this R2 zone property, which enabled Mr. Martinson to add a service garage. Mr. Martinson also received a variation to allow 2 main buildings on 1 lot, a variation to reduce the side yard setback, and a variation to reduce the rear yard setback, and the 1983 ordinance is attached. Mr. Martinson operated a tire repair business at the location until early 2020. In 2021, the city granted a variation of use to allow B3 uses at this location, as well as special use permit to allow light truck, tractor cab, tire repair and maintenance. Mr. Garcia was the owner at the time, and he made improvements to the property, including updates to both buildings, removing junk and debris, and new paving on parts of the property. However, Mr. Garcia decided to operate his light truck, tractor, cab, tire repair, and maintenance business elsewhere. Since 2021, the property has been used for a vehicle repair business, which was previously approved under the variation of use that was issued in 1983. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character to the north is R2 single family with a single family house. to the south is the same. To the east is R2, and there's Broadway Street Greenway to the east. And to the west is R2 with single-family homes there. Under applicable regulations, section 47-13.2AG, special uses, and section 47-5.2C, criteria for issuance of a special use permit, and you could see the attached for that. Under discussion, the property owner, Mr. Abraham Garcia, requests approval of this special use permit so that a future tenant can sell used cars that have been repaired on site or elsewhere. Proposed site plan options for used car sales, which are included in the staff report package, show between 19 to 20 display vehicles, as well as dedicated customer parking and rear employee parking. Public Works Department and Planning Division do not support any of these site plan options. Staff maintains that the property is too small for the number of vehicles proposed, given that the property was designed to function as a circa 1930s filling station. Under conditions, if the zoning board desires to recommend approval of the special use request, the following conditions would be included. A landscape plan shall be submitted to and approved by the Plan Division within 90 days of ordinance approval. 2, that a detailed site plan shall be submitted to and approved by Public Works and the Planning Division within 60 days of ordinance approval. 3, that the paved parking lot shall be striped per the approved site plan. 4, that no temporary or long-term outdoor storage of inoperable vehicles, boats, recreational vehicles, or parts, including tires, shall be permitted. 5, that off-street parking shall remain in the future. 6, that a business license shall be secured prior to opening. 7, that the special use permit shall herein terminate and lapse unless a building permit or certificate of occupancy is obtained no later than 80 days of the effective date of this ordinance. And 8, failure to comply with any of the above conditions could result in a rehearing and possible revocation of the special use permit. And that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner present? Must swear you in?
Yes.
You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes,
Name and address.
Abraham Garcia.
And your address?
Of this property or my home
Your
address?
home address.
It's 545 South Canyon Drive, Romeoville, Illinois.
Okay. Any comments you'd like to make?
Yes, I actually brought I printed some papers I'd like to share with you guys, if it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the first one with the plan that Jim showed you, if you guys peel that back, it's not the best picture. That's the picture I got off of the Will County for the tax. That's what the property used to look like when we first purchased it. And I mean, I know it's not the best picture, but if you look at that, I mean, it's fair to say that 60% of that property was just filled with garbage tires that were stored outside. Tires that were for sale stored outside. Cars parked in the rear of the building, container back there, junk. We took 9 loads of debris out of here when we first took over this property. And then we're proposing, and again, it's not tomorrow. The reason why I'm seeking this variation of use is because I cannot find a long-term tenant. I shared all this with Jim. Been extremely transparent throughout this whole process, you know, and I kind of had told Jim, hey, if I can find a long-term tenant that'll just do mechanic repair, then that's fine. But unfortunately, due to the limitation to repair cars at this location, it doesn't generate enough revenue. And then, so I'm seeking, said, well, maybe we can resell the cars here. And Jim said, well, no, you know, that can't be done. You know, it's against the rules, and I don't want to break any rules or laws. And I got with Jim on this and said, well, there's just not enough space. And I can kind of understand where they're coming from. They want to make sure it's all safe for everybody. And I'm all for it. But just down the street, if you go to the second packet, is Gonzalez Auto Sales, which, if I'm, and I hope I'm right, but I couldn't get the exact square footage of the actual address. But there's more square footage space at my location than there is here. And then I also have more ways to enter and exit on this property than he does here. So that's the first one. Then if we go to the second one, so this will be on the 4th page, you have Figueroa Auto Sales, which is right down the street from another property that I own in Joliet. He only has one entrance. And his building is, without a doubt, his office space, without a doubt, is way bigger than the one on Collins. I mean, the one on Broadway. But to park cars, we actually have the same amount of square footage. And he only has one entrance. So for you to stop by, and you can see it's always blocked. So for someone to actually want to come, there's no employee parking here. There's not even customer parking here. So on my plan, I clearly show enough space for employee parking, for customer parking, and to place X amount of cars for sale. And what I had told Jim, I said, hey, Jim, if I can get your guys' support, maybe you guys might want to say, well, and I understand, the way it looks like that, I'm not even for it either. That tenant got removed out of it because he was, and I told this to Jim, he had parts in the back, cars parked in the way. We told him several times not to. Adios, kicked him out. And this tenant's in there now. He repairs cars. I think he's applying for his license now. Parks his cars uniformly and doesn't do stuff like that. But now if you go to the next one, next to Figueroa is Little Caesars. Now, for those who don't travel on Collins, I travel on Collins every morning. I'm there at 6:30 a.m. every morning. I'm an early riser, and I'm the last one to leave. I leave here anywhere from 4 to 6 p.m. Any and every time Little Caesars, they do a phenomenal job receiving their deliveries always like clockwork at 7 a.m. That semi completely blocks the entire street of Collins. The entire street. Here's the last very picture. It's impossible. Let me tell you, the driver's amazing, by the way, to get in there without even having any accidents. So when we come to about not enough space, with all due respect, that's not it here. Ever since I got to Joliet, 1101 Broadway has been, for some odd reason, the most controversial property in the entire map of Joliet. I'm just not sure why. You guys heard it from Jim. It was always zoned residential, but it's never been used for a residence. In fact, a lot of properties on Broadway were all residences at once, and there's a lot of businesses put on there. The city changes. Same thing like Collins. That Little Caesars, I'm more than sure before that shopping center got put up, I'm more than sure a couple of houses existed there. It got tore down, and they put a shopping center there. I'm not asking you to grant me, the variation to put a shopping center there. Cars are being fixed there. The city has no problem with it. I don't see the big issue with adding one more step to sell automobiles. We've never had an accident there, and the city was, I don't know if you guys remember me, but a couple years back when I wanted to do my tire repair, we had a person from Joliet, which she's here today too, saying that, oh my God, it's gonna be so unsafe, there's gonna be accidents and this and that, and oh my God, it's so bad. We never had one accident. And thanks with the help of the city, and I say thanks to Jim, we were able to acquire Paul and Mike's. We operate out of there with no problems either. No accidents. So, I'm asking for help to do this dealership here. So it's not for me. I don't want to go and sell cars. I sell tires. I stick to what I do best. But I got to allow my tenant the ability to be more profitable. And we have enough space. It's clear. I think, there's 15 cars parked on there now, and there's clearly enough space for more parking. That's all I have, and thank you for your time.
Jim, what is the difference between square footage on this location? I know you guys don't vote on this, but I see that where the staff doesn't approve of or agree with some of the specifications. What is
We've
so
always thought this
specific
was
about
too
this
small
location?
for anything but small auto repair like Martinson always ran. Like the staff report said, we appreciate his efforts in cleaning up the property. The property was pretty bad condition. He did a pretty good job of cleaning that all up, but we still contest, and the information we get from our traffic engineer is that it's just too small to keep adding these uses here. Some of those models that he's provided to us block the entrance to Broadway Street. You can't do that with cars. You can't, a property can't function that way. You have to have internal circulation for customers and for employees. If this is all taken up with cars to sell and cars to service, the only other place for people to park, employees and customers, would be on the street. And then you're encroaching into the neighborhood, and we know what that has caused in the past. So that has always been our stance with this. The last time they came through with the semi-truck repair, we were not supportive of that either. And the zoning board, was like-minded and recommended denial, but city council chose to overrule that recommendation, and they approved it. We think that, he found that other site that was better suited, and so he never started here. But before he even bought this property, we explained the use here is limited to small auto repair, and anything else above that is not going to be supported by us.
And I just can I ask a question?
Sure.
And before I ask the question, I agree 100% with Jim. No business should be encroaching on the city taxpayer streets. I agree. I would like to ask, and I know everyone's not here, how many complaints, when I was at Broadway, did the city receive of us encroaching due to lack of space?
This board wouldn't have that information. Do you have that available?
I don't, yeah.
So I know the information, it's zero. So the only complaints that we had, and Jim and I kind of laughed this off the phone, was that once it was approved, someone called and said that now that we had people living there, when I was doing my tire replacement for the tractor repair. And it wasn't true.
Okay.
We had rented it out to a gentleman that was doing mechanic repair, which I believe he's now on Route 30. But the city never, sure, is there times where Jim has to call me and say, hey, you got to get things in line. Hey, this is this or that? Without a doubt, yes. But have I ever intentionally done things wrong or created a fuss or created problems for the city? No, I haven't. I follow the rules. And again, I can't agree with Jim on this one. I don't see where there's not enough space. And if he's saying about blocking the driveway, and I'm gonna say this again, maybe we can meet in the middle. Maybe say, you wanna know what, Mr. Garcia, we understand you and we understand the city. No more than 10 cars are allowed to be for sale at that lot at one time. Then that's what it is. I'm not trying to jam pack that place with a bunch of cars so we're blocking the driveway. But because he brought up the fact about blocking driveways, how you cannot do that. 80% of the businesses on Collins, on Jackson, on 53 have to slow down to turn into driveways. And for some reason, those businesses are ever an issue. So ABC is one of the largest businesses near me. And if we're going off of the facts that Jim stated, then I'm not sure how they got approved to operate where they operate.
Well, we're not considering these other locations. They're not before this board,
No,
so.
I
we're not based
understand,
in the
but
reference.
but the argument is the same. Because ABC's lot to load and for their tractors to come in, there's not enough space. They block and impede traffic every morning and at every time at 2, 3 p.m. You don't believe me? Drive by Jackson at 2 p.m. and see how backed up the street
Well,
gets.
let people file on that location. We're not talking about that location. Let's stick to yours.
Yes, sir. I'm just saying, there's enough space here to park easily 5 cars for sale, 10 cars for sale, and I believe we have that option on here. So I believe the second one, which will be, well, if you're looking at down here, so it'll be the bottom left option, I think is a great proposed option. If not, I think the top right one is better. I mean, I'm not sure, but we can reduce the amount of cars. You know, yes, sir.
What's the total number of spaces you have presently?
On the lot?
On a lot, yes.
Well, we don't have them marked, to be quite honest with you, sir, but
Give me your best estimate.
20? And I told Jim, I would like 10 cars, just to sell 10 cars on there. If we could have 10 cars for sale parked there at one time, I think it would be more than sufficient. Doesn't need to be 20 cars. Limit it to 10 cars.
How many times have they talked to you about, or you've been asked for cars that was parked on the street?
Not once. I've never once received a complaint. Never once.
You never received any complaints?
No, sir.
From the city?
No, sir.
For any infractions at all?
For parking? No, sir.
For any infractions, I don't know.
I had some other infractions, but not at that location, at
I mean, at
Collins.
this location.
No, sir, not one infraction,
Get to that in a minute.
unless I'm wrong, and Jim, unless I'm wrong.
These women protest.
No, I don't.
Let them do it.
Remember, I mean, like was discussed previously, he didn't do his large truck repair here. So it's been spotty with, small repair and, that kind of thing going on here. I don't know if a full business has established, because of lot constraints and garage constraints, I think are holding back a legitimate repair business from operating here. You can't get one car, 2 cars in the garage there
One
to
at a time.
repair. It's so small,
Okay.
so.
Any other comments you'd like to make?
No, sir, thank you for your time.
Any other questions by the board?
I guess I have a question for, well, maybe for you and also for Jim, but I'll
Oh,
direct it at
okay, yes,
Jim.
sir, yes, sir.
Would the city staff be supportive if you agreed on a total number of spaces for cars to sell, for the owner and the people who live there, and for anybody who's visiting, to keep cars off the street? So it would be a smaller business in terms of numbers of cars to sell, but it would be more in keeping with what the city would like to see on Broadway Street at that intersection. And we understand it's not gonna be his business, he's trying to
Yeah.
set it up for someone else, but we don't want whatever business that goes in there to be obstructive of traffic. So maybe if you could work that out and see fit to tell us that you don't object to it, we'd be more.
Yeah, I mean, we've already considered that, and, it would be such a limited amount of vehicles for sale that it wouldn't be appropriate to approve a business to operate with, 3, 4 cars for sale, in all honesty. We would then, be the monitoring department anytime, the number of vehicles went over whatever that limit was. We don't want to do that. If it's not, something that is appropriate, 20 cars cannot fit on here for sale. To do a business, used car business or any type of sales business for less than that is again, it just doesn't make sense to support, is our opinion.
But when a new business does come into this, when someone once he sells the property, the next buyer, when that buyer wants to put a business there, does he or she have to come to the city and work out the details?
Not necessarily. If they have a parking plan established, you have a parking lot with striped parking, that shouldn't change. If you start violating, where cars are parked, they're not parked in appropriate parking spaces, they're blocking islands, they're again spilling into the neighborhood, we would get complaints on that. And then we'd have to initiate an inspection and see what's up and bring them into code.
I got something to add real quick, if that's okay. It's part of this conversation. And I can agree with Jim and what he's saying and where he's coming from. Gonzalez Auto Sales only has 7 cars for sale.
I don't even think that is in the city of Joliet. So Figueroa, I believe,
No,
is.
Gonzalez has to be, isn't it? It's on Ruby Street.
Maybe I miss.
It's right by the
It's
Catholic
not on
Church.
Broadway? Okay,
It's right by St.
Okay.
Mary's.
but,
But
you
it's
know,
7 cars for sale. I'm proposing, can I get 14? The site plan shows 20, and I can agree with Jim about being tight on space. I can.
Okay, this is all being repetitive. Is there any new information anybody's got? Any other questions by the board?
Not presently, not on the hear what the say.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor?
Thank you.
Is there anyone opposed? Come forward. Lower the mic. I must swear you in, ma'am. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, sir.
Your name and address.
Georgine Williams, 811 Elizabeth Street in Joliet. I'm a community activist and I've taken care of Broadway Street since 1998. When they need something, they call me, so I'm speaking for them. I want to go back to the first thing with the semi-trucks. He never did any work on semis in there. He went through all the commotion of getting everything set up, but he didn't have semis rolling in and out of there being worked on. Also, he was supposed to put landscaping all along Hutchins, and he was not to use Hutchins with the trucks. Okay, that never happened. You have, what, 2 planting seasons to do that? He had 2 or 3 years. Last year, or this year, from spring to summer, there was a used car lot down there. We didn't know that you had to have a special permit. They were parked on Hutchins, they were parked over the curb. He's had it landscaped to the sidewalk. We don't need that in a residential area. I don't need cars on Hutchins. There's a major restaurant there. There's an apartment there. There's a house behind him and on the side of him. And he proposed on his plan 20 cars on that lot. Where are you gonna put them?
We've already gone through all that, so.
Okay, I'm just saying, this is a residential area. He never came through on the first thing he was supposed to do. There will never be any landscaping down there. And I don't believe that Hutchins should be used as part of his business. And if you look at that right now, look at the cars. How are you supposed to see to get off of the road with them parked all the way down to the drive? I almost got hit there the other day because I was turning up and there was a budget truck coming and a bus behind them. I didn't have any place to go. These streets up here are not that wide. And these are residential areas. If he wants a business on Broadway, that's fine, but don't bring it into the neighborhoods. When the Croatian Club was there, we had to move because the city didn't like us parking on the street. Okay, we moved. So I'm not picking on any person in particular. I'm just telling you that we went through all this before. We had all the landscaping, everything planned out. He didn't do any of it. Then he moved his business on the east side. He didn't do anything to have any complaints up there because he didn't use the property. So no, Mr. Torrey, there shouldn't have been any complaints. But the last thing in there, the used car lot, there were 20, 30 trucks and cars in there parked all over the place. I didn't know you had to have a special permit for that till he came down here for this now. So it was an illegal used car lot on his property. He should know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Do I have an opportunity to respond to the comments? Just want to correct the record because she's not informed. When we got it passed for the semi and truck repair, or for the tire replacement for semi tractor cabs, I went to Jim about purchasing Paul and Mike's. once the purchase went through, I asked Jim, if the city wants me, will stand my word. Something about me, I was raised old school. When I say something, I mean it, and I'll do it. I asked Jim, do you want me to continue the projected plans that we had? Abraham, that's your decision, but you can just let this roll off, and if you want, let it die out. Since you're no longer going to be utilizing that property for the semi-tractor tire replacement, then you no longer going to need to do those improvements. But if you choose to do so, you can. If you choose not to and leave the property just like it is, you will be able to rent it for a mechanic repair. That is why the property was left the way it was. So, and then going back to what she's saying, I didn't even use it.
Come on,
Yes,
this is
I
all
went through a
repetitive
fuss,
now.
no, but hold on, because it costed me a lot to go through that fuss. And for those who own their own business, understand when you open up your own business, you deal with a lot of stuff than just the market. You deal with a lot of anxiety. You deal with a lot of naysayers. People tell you you're not gonna make it. And then when you do make it, you can stand here and say, I told you so. So I'm a hard worker, I put my boots on every day, and when I tell you something, and it's coming from Abraham Garcia, best believe that it's gonna get done and it's gonna be what I say it's gonna be. What I don't like, when someone here that's so negative creates a bunch of lies. So, and you heard it from her, 0 complaints because we never even used it
It's
for
all
what
been
we got
said
it approved
before.
for. Thank you.
One question.
Yes, sir.
You said you had other locations?
One other location, sir, yes, but it's not, I mean, we own, my wife and I, we own both locations, but Broadway does not have nothing to do with the other location on Collins. Yes, sir. The one on Collins, we're, again, and Jim knows our business, I'm a tire wholesaler, I'm an importer as well. So we're doing a lot of wholesale. We bring in a lot of tires that we don't even touch. That's the majority of my business. My secondary business is to go deliver tires to fleets, which we know Joliet has a lot of trucking fleets and the surrounding areas. That's what I do for a living, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, yep.
Chair is closing the petition to the floor and ask the board for discussion on a motion.
Motion to deny.
Excuse me just for a moment. May I ask the city another question? If I can remember what it was, let me see. Oh, yes. Does the seller have to describe what the future business has to be in order to sell it? Can he just sell the property as it is, and the next buyer would have to come to the city for whatever business he or she wanted to put there to work out the details of the parking, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, there should be disclosure on, underlying zoning, variation of use was approved for B3 use. Truck repair was approved, but that has lapsed, so the large truck repair is not approved. So in this case, if there was a special use permit approved for used car sales, then, that would need to be disclosed if that was what the new buyer wanted to use it for. And then they have to follow the same terms of approval for that special use permit, if that's what you're asking.
I guess, yes. What I'm asking is, what the next business is the business of the next owner. And there's no particular reason why you would have to say, you can do this kind of business when he may want to, I don't know, put a restaurant there or.
New owner,
He
speculating what
has,
the use
the
would be,
last
no?
go-around, he got a variation of use to allow B3 uses. So if there's a permitted use that is permitted by right, by the B3 uses, then that could go in there, like a flower shop or something along those lines, an office. But auto repair, auto sales, car washes, as you know, tattoo shops, all those kind of things require special use permit approval through ZBA and then city council. So those added an additional approval process.
Sure,
But if there's a permitted use that is allowed in the B3 zoning district and he can meet code, change in use requires, usually a triggering of a business license, usually triggers inspections by the building department and other departments to make sure it is up to code for the new use. But, yes, again, as if it falls within that B3 category of permitted uses, that could potentially just go there without special approval.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Chair has called for a motion.
Motion to deny still?
Is there a second?
Second.
We have motion second to deny the petition. Pull the board.
Mr. Bias?
That's abstain. I haven't seen enough information just to. I want to sit on this board and be fair. I don't know you enough, and I don't know from anybody else. What you presented to me, they haven't denied. I mean, it seems as if what you're asking for is within limits, as far as I know, from what I can hear. The young lady didn't tell me where she lives in relation to that property, that she just lived in the neighborhood. I don't have a problem with a person trying to make a living. I don't. I really don't. I'm new on the board, so I'm just trying to be fair, all right? I'm just going to sustain from that.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Nactree?
Oh, God. No.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
So this will go with the recommendation of denial, 3 to 1 to 1, to City Council, second meeting in December, with the recommendation to deny. Next case under new business is 2023-65. The applicant owner is Thomas Ledwell. Location is 1032 Elizabeth Street. The request is a variation. Purpose, the applicant is requesting a variation to increase maximum wall height from 10 feet to 17 feet for a new detached garage located at 1032 Elizabeth Street. The Zoning Board of Appeals makes the final decision in this matter. Under site-specific information, the subject property is located at the southeast corner of Elizabeth and Hutchins Street. The lot is 5,837 square feet in size and is zoned R2 single-family residential. Circa 1900 house faces Elizabeth Street. The rear detached garage historically faced Hutchins Street. The original garage was removed in 2022. Under surrounding zoning, land use, and character, all properties in this vicinity are zoned R2 single-family residential. Land use for most of these properties is single-family dwelling. Most properties have detached garages with alley access or street access. Under applicable regulations, section 47-17.5, garages and carports, section 47-19.8, criteria for granting a variation, and you could refer to the attachment. Under discussion, the applicant, who is the property owner and contractor, submitted plans in October 2022 for a new 23-foot by 34-foot garage at the subject property to face onto Hutchins Street. Submitted permit application drawings showed a wall height of 10 feet and a total 20-foot high to top of roof ridge. City of Joliet approved a permit in October 2022, and the applicant got started right away on the construction of this garage. The city building inspector completed a rough framing inspection in January 2023 and noticed that the wall height exceeded the 10-foot maximum for load-bearing walls. The applicant misunderstood the city's 10-foot wall height requirement for garages, believing that wall dormers were not included in the 10-foot high maximum. City considers the large dormers to be an extension of the load-bearing walls, and therefore the applicant needs approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals to retain the garage roof elevations as built, which presents 17-foot wall heights. Despite the addition of these wall dormers, constructed garage does not exceed the maximum height of 20 feet. The applicant will paint the garage siding to match that of the main house when completed. The applicant intends to utilize the upper level of garage for storage, which will be accessed by a back staircase. Due to the large size of the upper level of the garage, Staff has concerns that it may eventually transition into a residential unit and therefore seek the below conditions to be included in an approval to prevent the detached garage from being used as a dwelling unit in the future. Under conditions, if the zoning board desires to approve this variation, following conditions would be included. One, that the property shall not be utilized with 2 dwelling units. 2, that the use of the property shall not be expanded in the future, and that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner here. Must swear you in. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, sir.
Name and address.
Thomas Ledwell, 1032 Elizabeth, Joliet.
Any comments?
I guess my neighbor helped submit this. That was the first I saw of the drawing. Like, my neighbor had a concrete company, and I frame homes for a living, but I had him help me submit for a permit because he's retired and he can do it during the day. I guess it was easier. That was the first I saw of a drawing, Jim. I'm sorry, I thought that there was like no drawing, for one. But I had spoke with the building inspector prior to doing this, and I talked out almost every aspect of how I was going to build it. The only thing I didn't want to do is look like all the other ones, which are dormers, which accomplish the same thing, just more space on the second floor. Like, that's all. I just didn't want to be a normal dormer. Like, I didn't know I was violating any walls, and I went out of my way to make sure it was actually a 10-foot wall all the way around, and then sheeted that whole top floor, so it's actually completely locked in, and then I have just that sheeted attic space is the only difference. But I wasn't trying to do anything or get around any rules or laws or whatever you guys have going on. I just didn't want to look like a normal dormer. I just think I overthought in every level of this, what I did right here, and tried not to. Man, I way overthought this, and I don't understand how I'm even here. I just wanted to build a cool garage. Like, both neighbors that attached to me, if you could see to the right and then the north, they both have beautiful properties. Like, just the Latino across the street from me has probably 40 grand in just his landscaping. It's beautiful, and I've for years just wanted. This was my mother's property, by the way. She passed 7 years ago, and I just try and do something every year to make it look better. Like, every year, at the end of the year, I spend whatever I have left on this property, and that's what I was doing. Like, it's just a cool ass garage with an attic space above it, and I didn't want to look like everything else. I was trying to keep up with the Joneses maybe a little bit. Both lots on the corners are really nice properties, and I was just trying to keep that theme. And I still don't think I did anything wrong. I just want to build a cool garage. That's it, and make this neighborhood look a little better. I ain't pro-town, and I don't have pro-town money, but I'll tell you, I did the best I could right there. That's about all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by the board?
That dormer on top, does it have water and is it living space?
Oh, no, there's no water or electric. Like, I don't even have money for that. That'd be cool. But that's what I was wondering, like, you guys would have to approve, like, that plumbing to get out there even to be zoned or used for anything else. I don't have plumbing out there. I don't ever intend to have plumbing out there.
What is it used for?
A garage. Garage in the backyard.
That dormer is used for?
Huh?
The dormer?
That's just the attic, the space up top. It's just opened it up. Like normal, so I did that kind of like a shed roof style is what I did. So a normal dormer, you would face that gable end, like you would see right here, would be and then 2 walls. So it would give me that additional space up top. The dormers, like 2 blocks up is one with 2 nice wide dormers. Yeah, it's literally like 2 blocks north. I think I referred to that last time. It was, but it just looks like every other garage, a dormer. You know, it's the same thing. He wanted space above. That's what I did. Only I just did mine with that flat section there, just for like a shed style dormer, I guess. I don't know. It's still a dormer. It just doesn't look like every other dormer.
You're a builder, right?
Yes, sir.
And you got a permit for this ahead of time?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I had the
So
neighbor.
the permits for the dormer and all?
No, there was, so it's kind of vague you have a piece of paper that describes how to build a garage with 10 line items on it. That's it. That's it. And so I have, the biggest line items would be 10-foot wall max and 20-foot overall total. But again, I didn't really submit, like I had my neighbor help me, that I didn't know he even put that drawing together, because in my head, had just assumed I still didn't have a drawing submitted. I know, because when he put in for the permit, he put my name down. I had assumed he was gonna use his company name. I didn't know, when he came back at the end of the day, he said he had just submitted in my name. So that's how I was moving forward, but I really didn't know you had that drawing, any drawing submitted. I thought I had talked over the phone with the building inspector, because he called me with that. I didn't know he had that in front of him, because again, it was my neighbor that had submitted. And, yeah, I didn't know he had that, but I talked about everything I was going to do with, Terry, I think his name was, Terry. He was also a friend, which was kind of a cool conversation. And I was surprised I got denied when, again, I think I had already overthought it. But it still is just, I just built it different from a dormer. Like it's a shed roof style dormer. I don't know, man, I still don't know what I'm doing right now.
Any other questions by the board? Anybody in the audience wish to speak in favor? Ma'am, are you in favor?
No, I'm not in favor.
Okay, anyone opposed?
This,
I swear you in again. You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes, sir.
And once again, your address.
Georgine Williams, 811 Elizabeth Street. I'm 2 blocks away from him for the past 76 years. Yes.
2 blocks.
2 blocks. This is just a quirk. I was doing Hutchins when I came up and I saw these signs that were behind a dumpster for this meeting today. So I called down and I asked them what this was about and why I couldn't read the signs. So they told me that no, Sue went up there with her camera and I have pictures. You can see that this is like an apartment up there. There's dormers, you want the pictures? And we have them on the phone too. So he's been building this, I would say, since last spring, because I go by there all the time. And I think it's nice that you have a garage in that, but there's a separate entrance for upstairs. There's dormers in the front and in the back, and we have the pictures. So I think it's going to be an apartment.
That it?
We have that happening up there all the time. Things suddenly turn into apartments no matter what they are.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like these pictures?
If you want to present them,
Yes, sir.
are they pictures of the interior or just the exterior?
Exterior. If you're gonna get a permit, you wanna know what size the permit says. You can see on the garage part, there's dormers.
No, I'll go back to the podium. You have to speak in the mic.
Where's the garage at? This is the garage?
Yeah.
There's a dormer out in the back and there's a dormer in the front. Oh yeah, it's different than all other. And that side door there goes upstairs.
What is your intention for the second in the dormer, the occupancy?
That's just an entrance man door. Like I have a big door and a little door.
Talk into the mic.
The intention is,
Talk into the mic, please.
oh. That's just a big door and a little door. It's not a stair door. It's just a big door and one door. I only have 2 windows in the whole thing, but it's just an attic. It's an attic. It's an attic, yeah.
Do the stairs go to the attic?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, same as a pull-down stair. I have a stair. Yeah.
Why are you here? What did the city tell you?
As far as what?
Why are you here?
Oh, so I guess, again, that's what he had opposed was that taller wall there. So my wall being 17 foot tall on that face is what gives me more room upstairs, just like a dormer. So that is what they're contesting is the room that I have up above, but I didn't, all I would have had to ask was for a normal dormer or something. Again, that's where I'm lost in this conversation is if I would have just asked to have a normal dormer, it should be a normal dormer. All I do is make it cooler than a regular. Can you help me out here, Jim?
Yeah, I think Thomas is a good builder, but he's not good at putting together plans. And we were never able to get plans from him. And I think, you know, he always believed that he could correct it to where, you know, it would be appropriate. We allow little decorative dormers on garages, like one window dormer for decorative purposes. So when we permit a dormer like that, you're not creating a whole second floor like ultimately this is, you know, except for that one part that gables off to the side. That is the only one area that has a normal pitch to a normal garage. So, you know, that I think was the problem. You know, we tried to get plans from Mr. Ledwell and just never could. And this is the point we got to, that he felt like he did what he could do, and he chose to go this variance route to see if there's any recourse in permitting this to be approved. You know, it's like we see in the past when somebody doesn't submit a permit and they do something wrong or they violate their permit, it's always hard to get corrected. And that's where we're at. You know, he's asking for forgiveness for, you know, not filing good plans or not following the plans that were approved. And if he misunderstood what he was filing, you know, I'm sorry about that, but it was clear to us what was submitted. So, again, that's where we're at this point. And so, because of that, he's asking for this variance.
After it was inspected, does it meet all codes?
I don't know if he's been final inspected, but I don't think there'll be a problem there. Like I said, I think he's a good builder. I don't think he's a good plan submitter, if that makes sense. But because you're a good builder doesn't mean you follow the rules.
Well, the fact that he's a good builder and a contractor, he should know that.
If I may, can I speak for a second, please? That was pretty good. You're right, though. So if you could look at all four angles, I went out of my way to, I gained that useful center section. But if you look from the left here, yeah, other way to look at this thing, like up that valley, that is all three-sided gables. I have gable facing Hutchins, the alley, and the back. So there's no useful space. There's nobody that was intending to use or gain or try and put an apartment or anything along those lines up there would have done what I did. Like he would have built a conventional barn-style apartment, right, that you see everywhere in Joliet. Anybody trying to gain an apartment-style use up there would be an idiot to do what I just did. You know, there's two valleys running right through the middle of it, and then again from the other, if you look through, yeah, there's a valley running right up the middle of that, a valley running up the middle of the front side, and then a gable end from a true gable end from the side that attaches to my house. So there is an open section like your conventional, like a conventional roof. I just went above and beyond to be able to use that little space allowed that is up there. And with that shed roof dormer, again, all I was trying to do was just be different from a conventional dormer. But there's nobody.
Okay, we're getting into repetition again.
Not at all. Not at all. Am I repeating anything? I'm sorry.
Any other questions by the board? Is anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
I have a question for Jim as usual. Would he be permitted to use it for storage?
Only with the variance, yeah. He's right now asking for a variance on our 10-foot wall maximum. Mm-hmm. You know, even though he's cut it with this roof line, you know, if you went straight up, you could see on this picture, going straight up is 17 feet. We would only allow a wall height of 10 feet for a garage, and then you have to start your roof pitch. Like I said, again, if you did a couple decorative dormers in the garage for architectural purposes, we would be okay with this. But this is larger and more excessive than we can permit, just by right. That's why he needs this variance to do it, so.
So you're saying there's no possible use for this space? He's not planning, he says, to use it for living space, but it would not be possible to put tools up there or?
No, I mean, if he got rid of
Side of
the
the
shed
variation.
roofs on the side, the dormers on the sides, and just had this normal gable roof, you could put storage up there. You don't need a full 2 stories to have storage. So I believe him when he says he doesn't plan on putting a residence up there, but it looks like that's what it's intended for. And somebody down the road might be dealing with that here is our concern. Again, I think maybe there was a misunderstanding at the beginning of what he can do, but, I don't know what to say to that. I don't think he's a bad person and maybe intentionally tried to violate that. We tried to get him in to fix this, and we just never could. And then, again, I get back to this is why we're at this point. This is where he felt like he can get to with this, with the renovations on this, and preferred to ask for a variance rather than taking those dormers off fully.
Again, one more time. Jim, can I speak?
Any more questions? Okay. Chair's closing
He wanted to
petition
say
to the floor.
one more thing, Ed. The petitioner wanted to add one more thing, I think.
Excuse me, again, it's still as of living in the neighborhood, again, even if I had the 4 gables, like I couldn't even have added, given the neighborhood 2 extra gables to look at. How I have the 4, like I had in my head, again, I was just trying to make a cool looking garage. I could care less about the usable space up there, I just didn't want to lose it. But I could honestly care less about that space. I just turned them gables too, just so it looked, we had something that wasn't that normal garage in this neighborhood. That was it. Like the way you're saying it, I could just only build just a shit box, sorry, my language, gable, and you couldn't even turn the other 2?
That's right.
Wow, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's it? Okay. Chair's calling for a motion.
Motion to accept?
Is there a second to approve? Do we have a second?
Okay, I
If
second
there's
it.
no motion,
I'm sorry, I second it.
you seconded? We have a motion and a second to approve the petition, pull the board.
Mr. Riggs?
No.
Mr. Bias?
Yes.
Mr. McShane?
No.
Mr. Noctree?
Yes.
Mr. Hennessy?
No. Same vote?
So we have
3-2.
Same vote as
Yeah.
last time.
3-2, but no, so that motion failed. I don't know if anybody wants to make a new motion. Motion to approve failed. I'm sorry, yeah, a motion to approve failed. So somebody can make a new motion if they liked.
New motion for,
Denial, or
We already had a motion to deny, didn't we?
there was a motion to approve, and that failed
Okay.
with 3 no votes.
Okay, then the chair
two to
calls for
approve.
another motion. Is there one available?
Motion to deny.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the petition, pull the board.
Mr. Riggs?
Yes.
Mr. Bias?
no.
Mr. McShane?
Yes.
Mr. Noctree?
No.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
Look, next time when you build this thing, you gotta let somebody know, all right? You're putting us in a turtle. I'm not gonna be able to sit with these guys and drink a beer, because you're making it difficult for me.
So that motion was denied, that motion to deny was approved 3-2. I believe that is final, but I got to check on quorum status and in that case, but I believe that is final. We'll let you know. But the motion was to deny 3-2.
So, Jim, what's the next step for this
What's the
man?
next step, Tim? What happened? They tear it down?
Yeah, the building department would have to work with them to
Remodel the top.
remodel it again. Take off the larger dormers would likely be what needs to be done. Yeah.
So let me tell you how smart I am. So my old man passed away about 5 months ago, and I've been hiding in my backyard. I literally just emptied my bank account and that thing, just hanging out in the backyard of my mom's house, who I just buried both of them too, so I'd appreciate. Mr. Bias, thank you, and yeah, thank you, I appreciate it.
You know, we're sorry, but,
There's nothing
you know,
sorry about it.
it's
I'm
not,
just telling you
it's
what I
not
did.
our fault. You know, but we'll be in touch. Your planner will let you know what next steps are. Thank you. Next case is 2023-66. The applicant is TWAS Properties LLC. Status of the applicant is contract purchaser. The owner is Zerke's Limited Partnership 2. Location is 1351 Route 59. The request is a special use permit. Under purpose, the petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow the construction of a new automatic car wash on an undeveloped lot at 1351 Route 59. Per the City of Joliet zoning ordinance, car washes may be allowed as special uses within the B3 General Business Zoning District by the Mayor and City Council with the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Under site-specific information, the 1.15 acre site is Lot 8 of the Walmart subdivision, which was recorded in 2004. Property is zoned B3 General Business District and is currently undeveloped. The lot is located at the southwest corner of Route 59 and the middle access drive to the Walmart Retail Center. Subject site is accessible from a private access road that runs north-south between the Walmart parking lot and the outlots along Route 59. Site is located more than 100 feet from a residential zoning district as required for car washes by section 47-13.2AF of the city's zoning ordinance. Under surrounding zoning, land use, and character, to the north is B3 General Business Commercial. There's a bank there. To the south is B3 General Business Commercial. There's a restaurant. To the east is R2 Single Family Residential. There's residential subdivision, Pheasant Landing. To the west is B3 General Business Commercial. There's retail at that location. Under applicable regulations, section 47-13.2AF, special uses, B3 General Business District. Section 47-5.2C, criteria for issuance of a special use permit, and you could refer to the attachment. Under discussion, the petitioner is seeking approval of a special use permit to allow the development of a Tidal Wave Auto Spa car wash. Tidal Wave Auto Spa is a conveyor car wash company with over 180 locations through the United States. The proposed use at 1351 Route 59 includes a car wash building and vacuum stall area and will have approximately 3 on-site employees. Proposed hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. The attached conceptual site plan shows the car wash tunnel on the north side of the site, accessed by an automatic pay station. The wash tunnel leads to a vacuum area with 2 rows of vacuum stalls. The proposed building elevations show the exterior material of the wash tunnel as brick with some split-face block veneer. The vacuum canopy is open on all sides and has a metal roof. The exterior of the vacuum building will match the wash tunnel. Site access is at the southwest corner of the lot off of the north-south private access road that serves the Walmart subdivision. Cars would enter at this driveway and be routed to the pay station and then through the car wash tunnel. The vacuum stalls are available to customers after they exit the wash tunnel. A bypass lane is located between the pay station and the wash tunnel for customers who do not purchase a wash and need to exit the site. Vehicle stacking is available for 8 vehicles before the pay station and for an additional 6 vehicles before the wash tunnel. This proposal will require the approval of a drive-through permit. There is an existing sidewalk with a 5-foot sidewalk easement along the site's east property line. The developer will need to complete a small sidewalk extension at the north end as indicated on the site plan. The site plan shows 10 feet of landscaping adjacent to the sidewalk as required by the original subdivision approval. A site plan, floor plan, and elevations are attached. Landscaping will be required by the city's landscaping and screening regulations. The development will need to comply with the city's non-residential design standards. Development impact fees and sewer water connection fees will be required. A landscape plan that complies with the city zoning ordinance must be submitted with future development plans. Under conditions, if the zoning board desires to approve the special use permit, the following conditions would be included. One, that the special use granted shall herein terminate and lapse unless a building permit or certificate of occupancy is obtained no later than 180 days. And 2, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of a special use permit. And that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner here.
Hello.
You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes.
Name and address.
Yeah, my name is Brad Obanek. I'm with Cage Civil. We're a representative for Tidal Wave Auto Spa. Right now, we're working with them on their Midwest rollout. As Jim mentioned, that they have around 180 locations right now, mainly around the East Coast. This being one of their stops for their Midwest rollout. We're working with them right now on various other locations here in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. Jim gave a great summary, but I guess in addition to what he said, a couple things I wanted to mention. So he had mentioned the drive-in facility city council that we're going for. We are just now starting that process. Our goal is to get in January and likely start construction by spring of this facility. In addition to that, I wanted to mention that this specific location, they are using their W4 prototype, which is different than their normal prototype that they use on most sites. What that is it's basically a lot of extra brick and stone in comparison to their typical prototype, which is a lot of glass. It's blue in color. It has a lot of metal as well. So basically this is more neutral colors with the brick and the stone to match the location and match the surrounding area. So I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions by the board?
Yeah, just a concern. When you do car washes, do you recycle the water? Is the water recycled?
It is, yes. So about 66% of the water is recycled, so it reduces a lot of the water usage and discharge that they have on the site.
There is nothing that would, if you left, they would have to do an EPA phase audit to make sure there's no contaminants in the ground, right?
No. Yeah, we've gone through this process, so this is probably about the 15th one that we've worked on here, maybe the 10th here in Illinois. We've gotten permitted through EPA for our sanitary sewer on all of them so far. No concerns from EPA at all.
There's a lot of car washes around. You figure you could make money at this?
Yeah, so me being the civil engineer, I don't have much to say about the site selection, location, everything like that. What I do know is that they do a study for each surrounding area that they've gone to in terms of traffic. Just about everywhere has a lot of car washes already, so they take that into account. This site was hand selected by their team with all of that kept in mind.
Any other questions by the board? Anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition and asks the board for discussion and a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Poll the board.
Mr. Bias?
Accept. Here.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Nactree?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
So the recommendation for approval will go to City Council's second meeting of December for this special use. Next order of business would be old new business, not for final action or recommendation. We have none. Under Next would be public comments. This section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding non-agenda items. Seeing no one in the audience here, I would say that's safe to move on from that. And last would be adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting